Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to Hurricane Game Day, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki alongside University of Miami head coach Jim Larrañaga as we transition into basketball season. Great to be with Coach L. And Coach, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Joe.
All right, so off to a great non-conference start so far, and been some exciting games. What are your thoughts on where your team is right now in this non-conference schedule?
Well, first of all, in the preseason, we were ranked higher than the University of Miami basketball program has ever been ranked. So we started out with some lofty expectations. But so far, we've played 8 games. We've won 8 games. We're now moving in the direction of the top 10. We were ranked top 10 last week and the week before, or 10th in the country. We should be even higher than that this week. But our challenges are really ahead of us. When you see the performance of a Boston College beating a Duke University over the weekend, that's really something. That tells you how deep and talented the ACC is this year. Florida State going into the University of Florida and beating them by 23 on their home court when the University of Florida was ranked 5th in the country. And then, of course, our basketball team going into the University of Minnesota, a team that was ranked right behind us, like 12th in the country, and in front of a packed house, beating them. So the ACC is loaded, and we feel very good about where we are.
Well, let's pick up on the Minnesota game for a moment, because that was, I think, a real statement by the University of Miami to the rest of college basketball. People were looking at your team. It's a young team, very talented. You went on the road. You mentioned the hostile surrounding. Great game, goes back and forth. But you took command of that game and really announced that you're going to be a player this year.
Well, I think winning on the road in college basketball is always the most difficult thing. So certain victories, like Arizona State winning at Kansas, Florida State winning at Florida, the University of Miami winning at Minnesota, says those teams are for real when they play well. Now, that night we played very well. DeJuan Ewell was terrific. He had 23 points, a career high. Jaquan Newton was terrific handling the basketball. He had 9 assists, no turnovers. Bruce Brown continues to play at a very, very high level. But Bruce injured his hand, and he's now out for 3 weeks. So we're looking for a Lonnie Walker to step up and fill those shoes, at least on a temporary basis, if not on a full-time basis, because Lonnie stepped up and helped us beat Boston University. He scored a career-high 26 points, and that's the most by any player this season.
Well, while we were on Lonnie Walker, let's go at it this way. We went to Reading, Pennsylvania during the non-conference, where Lonnie Walker is from, and that was a unbelievable experience for anybody that was there.
Joe, you said it. Lonnie Walker is an icon in his hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania. And my staff and I knew that. We flew up to Reading many times to watch him play and watch him practice. And after a practice, just a typical Tuesday afternoon, walk out of practice, there'd be a dozen kids standing outside, elementary school kids wanting his autograph, wanting to take his pictures. Okay, so that's youngsters. How about the adults? They'd be standing in line wanting to take their pictures with him and get his autograph. So when we arrived in Reading, Pennsylvania, the night before the game, there were people there to greet Lonnie. Then as we were leaving the hotel to go to the game, there was a crowd. You saw it. The lobby was packed with people just wanting to shake his hand, get his autograph, and take some pictures. And then when we arrived at the arena, 7,000 fans packed the arena. Were they there to see the University of Miami? Yeah, we were kind of an afterthought. They were there to see Lonnie Walker IV.
All right, we've got George Washington, Hawaii, and the ACC to talk about with University of Miami head coach Jim Larrañaga. We'll do that, but first, our highlights are brought to you by UL Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game. Happy to welcome you back to Hurricane Game Day, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki alongside University of Miami head coach Jim Larrañaga. The Hurricanes in their non-conference season getting ready for conference play. They will do that with a trip to Washington, D.C. to take on George Washington. And then we're going to Hawaii for the second time, and that'll be a very, very good tournament.
Yeah, we have a 5-year contract with ESPN, and our first 5 years, we ran through that. We went to Hawaii, then California, then South Carolina, then Puerto Rico, and then finished up in Orlando. We're starting that cycle again, and ESPN televises those games. You play, I think we play December 22nd, 23rd, and then Christmas Day, December 25th, against really good opponents. One of the things that we'll be doing, Joe, is this will be our third road game, a real road game at the opponent's home court, 3 of the last 5 games. So we play at Minnesota, then we played a neutral site game against Princeton, then a home game against Boston University, then on the road to George Washington, on the road to Hawaii. So we scheduled that purposely to get our RPI up. Those are quality opponents, and hopefully our RPI is climbing like our national ranking is. But the tournament is filled. We'll play, the next opponent will be either Davidson or New Mexico, and then after that, we're hoping that we'll end up playing Southern Cal, because they've got an outstanding program, and when we scheduled this, we really felt like the 2 teams have enough talent that if both teams play well, we could meet them.
Then you're going to begin ACC play on the road. I think 4 of the first 6 are on the road, but the first couple, the first one's going to be Pittsburgh on the road. And Pittsburgh was in a battle the other night with West Virginia, but that's not an easy place to go to. We had great success there last year, but they call it the zoo for a reason. Yeah,
and we have 3 of our first 4 conference games on the road. We're at Pittsburgh, at Georgia Tech, at Clemson, with a game against Florida State squeezed in between those 3. So it's a very, very tough way to start your conference schedule. But I don't think there's any easy ways in the ACC. Whether you're home or on the road, you got to be ready every night.
Well, you mentioned Boston College beating Duke the other day, and you and I were discussing the ACC. You'll be home January 7th for Florida State. But you were picked, Miami was picked 4th by the experts in the ACC. And you start looking at it, and there's Miami and Duke and Carolina and Louisville and Syracuse and Florida State and Notre Dame. Everybody's good.
Oh, you didn't mention Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got so many good players. That's why the ACC has really dominated the NBA draft. We had like 11 guys drafted in the first round last year and 15 overall in the first and second round combined. The league is loaded with talent, young talent, veteran players. You see what Duke has done. They ran off 11 straight games. Marvin Bagley is considered one of the very top players in the country, and possibly the first player chosen in the NBA draft. And he's supposed to be in high school right now. He's supposed to be a senior in high school. And then they have Wendell Carter, who was the National Player of the Year last year as a senior in high school. Those 2 guys start at the 4-5 for them. So they're extremely talented. And the preseason National Player of the Year, Grayson Allen, is back for his senior year. He was the preseason National Player of the Year going into his junior year. So they are absolutely loaded. Carolina's the defending national champion. Notre Dame has a ton of guys back, including the preseason Player of the Year, Bonzi Colson, who's a handful for anybody, a mismatch every night he plays. Florida State is off to a fantastic start. So we know we have our hands full. And what we have to be sure our players understand, because we're young, 4 freshmen, 4 sophomores on our roster, we have to understand if we lose a game or 2, hey, we're not going to be the only ones. There are going to be a lot of teams losing 2 or 3 games in that first round of competition. You have 9 games in the first round, 9 games in the second. You're going to play 9 at home and 9 on the road. You got to take care of business at home and then hopefully pull out some road wins.
All right, well, it's going to be a very exciting year. Back-to-back years in the NCAA tournament, going for 3 years in a row. And I'm looking forward to the adventure ride with you, Coach.
Me too, Joe. Thanks a lot.
That's University of Miami head coach Jim Larrañaga. When we come back, Katie Meyer joins us right here on Hurricane Game Day right after this. Welcome back to Hurricane Game Day, everyone. Brought to you by Williamson Automotive. We are now joined by University of Miami head coach Katie Meyer as we talk women's basketball, and the Hurricanes off to a good start in the non-conference season with the conference season knocking on the door. Coach, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. I'm excited.
You took on another challenging non-conference season, St. John's and Maryland, Michigan State, Kentucky. How do you think your team is responding?
Well, and add Colorado to that too with the altitude. So they responded really well. I mean, we have gone through so much adversity that you think, well, gosh, is the current roster with all the injuries we had, are they capable of handling this stretch that we're on? And they are. So that's the best part of it all. You know, we probably overscheduled based on where we were, but we're responding. So, you know, it's great. It's really great.
What are the best parts of the things that you get out of the non-conference, the challenging non-conference, that you're pretty sure will help you when you get to conference play?
Well, I personally prefer to be revealed. I like our weaknesses to be exposed as early as possible. You know, some coaches think November and December is just a warm-up act, but I think November and December is your homework. You know, and I want to play programs that I know have great coaches that will give me my homework, so that when I go home at night watching a game film, they did something tricky, and it may cause us to lose, or they went on a run, and I want to know why. And so I just want all the questions kind of exposed early, and that's certainly happened this year. I mean, we've played a great schedule.
Yeah, your most recent was Kentucky. Yeah. They came in number 20, so that's a win over a ranked opponent. Right. You're down 7 at halftime. I want to make the joke of, you know, what did you feed them at halftime? Right. Because whatever you said, whatever you did at halftime, it seemed like they went into the locker room and came out with a different uniform on.
It was really, honestly, I think we had a real nice leadership moment with Erica Davenport and Amasa Hoff in the locker room. So the coaches were going to go into the locker room to address the team, and I heard a pretty loud talking from my upperclassmen. And so I stayed in that hallway and let them talk, and they were just solving problems on their own. And I think it was time. We had a brutal week of practice, you know, coming off a loss at home, which we don't usually do, and having 7 days to get the team right. And so we really went after each other, and it was time for the team. You know, I say, you know, coach-led teams don't win championships. Player-led teams win championships, and we needed these players to lead, and they really did.
You mentioned a schedule like this is revealing. Yes. You know what, to me, what it's revealed is Erica Davenport. Right. My goodness gracious. Averaging a double-double, and just has played spectacular basketball.
You know, and I really hope people see, she is one of the most improved players. I think last year Jessica Thomas probably was the most improved player that we've ever had in our 4 years here. But Erica's given her a run for the money because, you know, Erica's skill set, you know, she was a great, she played hard, she's a great person, but her skill set has improved. And she had glaring weaknesses in her game her freshman year and sophomore year, to the extent where she was turning the ball over. And but now she is so smooth. She's so smooth on the basketball court, and so confident, and she's just been a warrior.
There was a play in the second half of the Kentucky game where she came out beyond the three-point line to defend their three-point shooter. Then she got into the paint to defend their center, and then she got to the other side of the floor and blocked the shot.
She didn't just block it. she threw it. She threw it. Yeah, it was about 20 rows up, and you know, there's moments in the game where you think, well, that's it, we've won. You know, I think that play and then Shanice Bailey's big three kind of sealed the deal, but that was the two seniors and two of the hardest working players. You know, they're definitely two of the hardest working players on our team, and they closed the door. You know, we've been relying on freshmen a lot, and I've been kind of pushing my upperclassmen, saying, you know, that we shouldn't be so reliant on freshmen. Like, you are capable, and I just need you to play to your capacity. And I thought both of those players had it. Just the last 2 weeks have been fantastic. All
right, we'll talk more with University of Miami head coach Katie Meyer right now. We'll take a look at our highlights brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game. Welcome back to Hurricane Game Day, brought to you by Williamson Automotive. Joe Zagacki alongside University of Miami head coach Katie Meyer as the Hurricanes get toward the tail end here of non-conference play and get ready for ACC conference play, which once again is going to be a grind and a fist fight and any other adjective you can throw in there.
It will be, and at least we won't be naive to the level of the competition. I mean, and we start off with, we have the toughest beginning of the ACC schedule in the conference, and so when we had such a young team and you get handed that schedule, you know, and where they stack the top games, it's early. But that's why I was kind of glad we had such a tough non-conference schedule, so we'll be prepared. Are
you anxious? Are you excited about how they're going to respond when you get to the ACC? Because that is day in and day out. There's no, even the days off, for practice or a day off, it's not a day off.
Right, and that's why we built our schedule, if you noticed, which was difficult. We were doing almost an ACC, a Thursday, Sunday kind of thing in our non-conference. So we were having those quick turnarounds. So we're playing Michigan State, then we're playing Maryland, then we're playing St. It was like a Thursday, you know, a 3-day, so we hadn't had a lot of time to practice. But that's what it is in the ACC. It's who you play, where you play them, and when you play them. And, you know, we only get one bye this year. So I'll only have one other week besides this last week that we just had, where we can do Camp Miami and really get our fundamentals down and break people down to build them back up. And we just hadn't had that. And then we had it, and then we came off with the win at Kentucky because we really need it. So that's the grind. It's the grind. It's not, you know, a one-game deal. It's can you respond to the travel, to the competition, to the 7:30 a.m. shoot-arounds on the opponent's floor when it's, you know, 30 degrees in Boston. You know, can you do it? And that's what we're trying to get ready for.
Before you get to conference play, you have another big trip coming up.
Yeah.
You got a tournament in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And for a variety of reasons, this is going to be, I think, a very interesting trip.
Yes, and it's been a very fluid tournament. So there was there was a possibility of not playing the tournament. Some teams going, some teams not going. The matchups changed, hotels changed, the arenas changed. You know, we've been really close with the organizers, trying to make sure that if there was something the University of Miami could do to make this a positive thing for Puerto Rico, we were all in. And we'll have a whole day of humanitarian effort when we get there. Angel Rodriguez, we're going to get with his foundation when we're there. The players are all going on a holiday spree today to fill up each of a bag that Adidas gave us. Then they go shopping for toys that they can give away, and then the toiletry items and everything. So the games are, you know what, I still don't know what day we're playing, but we're going to have a real great, an unforgettable trip, and I think it'll be really powerful.
All right, the very best of luck in the upcoming season.
Thanks.
All right, that's University of Miami head coach Katie Meyer, and for Jim Larinaga, I'm Joe Zagacki. We'll see you next time right here on Hurricane Game Day.